Hi guys, welcome to the video. As you can see, I've got a camera set up looking at my screen and me on a different camera, and this will all make sense in a minute when we switch over. But what the point of this video is to explain to you how you can record lessons onto video, send them home to students, have students work through interactive slides using Pear Deck, and then have a live Google Meet hangout with them on Fridays so that you can answer questions, do live tutorials, and that sort of thing. Keep your contact with the students while we are doing the distance learning, e-learning, whatever we're calling it now, situation. So let's dig into this. Hey, this is Stuart from the future. I just wanted to clarify that even though this video is close to 20 minutes long, the actual teaching portion of it, the Screencastify slides that I'm teaching, is 9 minutes long. This is because it takes me about 10 more minutes to start everything, to show you the behind the scenes, how it all works. So if you're going to teach about a 10-minute lesson via video, just know that it's going to take about twice as long to get everything together and post it in Google Classroom for your students. Back to the video. So here we have my Google Drive, just my normal Google Drive, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to actually find, so I'm going to open up the lesson that I'm wanting to teach, and it's going to be a Google Slides presentation, not a PowerPoint presentation. If it's a PowerPoint presentation, it's going to have the PPT, PPTX out here beside the name. I want you to go to File, and you'll have an option to save as Google Slides. You'll want to do that in order to use the Pear Deck add-on. So I'm going to go to my add-ons, and I'm going to go to Pear Deck add-on, and I'm going to open it. Everybody in Anderson 3 has this add-on pushed out to their account automatically. If you see your face right here for your Anderson 3 account, Pear Deck should be an add-on for you here. If it's not, go down to Get Add-ons, search for Pear Deck, and install it. You'll be able to install it. Now, once I have Pear Deck add-on open, I have a lot of options here. Please reference the How to Use Pear Deck tutorial at this point if you're unsure how to use Pear Deck. I am going to show you a little bit, like our template library. You can do some bell ringers, some formative assessments, and then some exit ticket kind of things. And then it's also broken down by subject. And so you can look in here and find pre-made content from Pear Deck to use, so you don't have to create everything from scratch. Some of it's already created for you, and it's all interactive. So I've already actually added some Pear Deck slides to this. So I'm going to actually present my lesson with Pear Deck, and I'm going to record it. So this is how we're going to do that. So I've got my lesson made. I've got my Pear Deck interactions already put in here. So we're just going to go ahead and record our lesson. So I'm going to present my lesson with Pear Deck. I had to present here from the Pear Deck add-on, not here from the Google Slides, but present with Pear Deck. So now I'm in my teacher view of Pear Deck, and it gives me my join code. Now, it would be a little bit hard to get kids to get this join code and then go to joinpd.com. So you have two options here. You can do give students a link, which will copy the link to a clipboard, and then all you'd have to do is go into your Google Classroom, go to classwork, create an assignment, and then you would add a link, and you would paste that link, and now you see where it's got the apps.peardeck.com with the join code. It's going to say sign in Google accounts. That's okay. If you see this link right here, which should look very similar to this link right here, then you know you're good to go. Also, you can go straight to Google Classroom. So you can invite your whole class. All you have to do is scroll down and click on the class that you want, invite the section, and now that section has been invited. So I think it's always good to get the link. So I'll copy the link and I'll go to my class, and I'll go to classwork, create a new assignment. So I'm going to tell them to watch the video and follow along while answering questions in the Pear Deck slides. And right now I'm going to go ahead and add a link to our Pear Deck slides. So I'm going to paste and add link. And like I said, as long as this link looks very similar to this link here, which it does, then I know I'm good to go. Now, I'm not going to assign this yet because I still need to add in my video that I'm fixing to create. So I'm going to go back to my session. There's no students. We know there's no students. There's not going to be students, but we still want to click through the Pear Deck slides. So I'm going to close the Pear Deck screen, and now we are presenting, as we can see down here at the bottom. I'm going to go through and I'm going to click on the three dots. Down here, we can do several things. The most important thing we're going to do, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on student paste. And that will allow the students to click through the slides at their own pace. So that way they can go through the slides while they follow along with my video and then answer the questions at their own pace. So we turn on student paste. It tells us student paste is on. It gives us the link again. So if we forgot to do the link before, we have another chance to do the link. And I'm going to say, okay, I got it. And now we're on student paste. But as the teacher, we can still click through this and we can still teach the material. So this is what I'm fixing to do. I'm going to teach the material while I video this. Now, the video is not turned on yet. We've got all our setup done. Now it's time to turn on the video. So I'm going to go up here to my Screencastify extension and I'm going to click on it. Now, if you've not gone through this before, it's going to ask you to sign in with Google. You'll have to go through those steps. You should be familiar with signing in with Google by now. But once you're done with that, you should come back and click on it and it'll ask you to set up the microphone and cameras and all that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on set up microphone. It's going to ask me to allow it. I allow it, the extension again, and you only have to do this the one time. I'm going to, and see that enabled my microphone and my webcam. So I'm going to go ahead and select my microphone. Now, if you have more than one microphone or more than one webcam, then you can choose those. But if you don't know anything about those, then don't worry about it. I'm also going to enable drawing tools, and all I have to do is click allow for that. And I'm going to go back into my extension. And here I have a choice. I can do my desktop. So I'm recording my whole desktop with the Screencastify, or I'm just recording a browser tab. If I am only going to be in this one browser tab, this one session, Pear Deck session, then I can choose browser tab and then it only records that browser tab. But if I'm going to go between one or two or three tabs, so if I'm teaching math and I'm using GeoGebra and I'm using a Google Slides and then I'm using also a graph picture that I have on a different tab, or if I have some PDFs that I need to pull up from different places to illustrate my point while I'm teaching, I would choose desktop. Now, if I want to set up my laptop so it's facing a whiteboard or a large piece of paper and I'm going to teach as if I'm in front of the classroom, I can choose webcam only. And then it doesn't record my screen, it only records my webcam. But in this case, I'm going to choose browser tab because I'm only going to be in this one browser tab. So I'm going to record and it's going to give me a countdown, and now you can see me down here while I'm teaching. So this is why I've got the multiple camera set up, so you can actually see what I'm doing while I'm doing it while recording it. So you're down here. If you're going to be in the way down here in this corner, you can actually click and move yourself anywhere you need to. If you need to make yourself full screen, you can make yourself full screen. And then by clicking this button again, you can make yourself tiny again. And we'll go ahead and teach the lesson. Now you can see when I click, there's a red circle that forms around my click. So that way your students see if you are clicking on something, then you know where it is and you know that it's a, so we'll go to the next slide. Now, this is the whole purpose of what we're doing. This is our new normal, okay? Until we know more information on how this school closure, temporary closure is going to proceed, all we know is that this is our new normal and this is what we're going to need to be doing. So in the middle and high school, we are asking that beginning April 14th, which is after spring break, teachers will present new content on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week using this kind of a format. Teachers will live video conference on Friday with students using Google Meet. If you don't know how to use Google Meet, I have a tutorial provided. Check the links that came along with this video. What I'm using is Screencastify for the flipped lesson, Monday through Thursday. That's the extension that we just went through using. I'm using Pear Deck for interactive Google Slides. This is going to be your presentation and your notes Monday through Thursday. And then Google Meet for video conferencing with students in each class on Fridays. Now, here's our first Pear Deck slide. You'll see this question, but then also you will see, because you're in here as a student, the space to write your answers. Give your students some time here and remind them in the video to pause the video as they answer this question. Effectively flipped classes. So what we're going to do is we're going to send home a screencast video. We will use Screencastify, and if you need the unlimited version, the notes on how to get the unlimited version through the end of April are included with the information from here. But remember, we're sending home a 5 to 10 minute lecture. You're going to lose their attention after about 5 minutes. Remember, you're not live in front of them. You don't have distractions. You don't have kids coming and going, or the bell ringing, or the birds outside flying around. So you can really condense down what you need to say into 5 to 10 minutes and remind students to pause the video or rewind the video or rewatch the video if they missed something. You're not there to answer live questions. And so this time frame is very important, not to overload students and not to try to present too much information at one time. Don't go longer than 10 minutes per video. Instructional presentations will include interactive student content using Pear Deck. That's what we're doing right now. Again, it's a Pear Deck slide. And so thought activity. In a classroom situation, you could have them write this out. You could have them do this in a Google Doc. Ask them to open up a Google Doc and write their responses in a Google Doc and turn that in for their classwork. That is one way of using these kinds of slides. In this situation, I'm just asking you to think through why a 5 to 10 minute video lesson? And then how can I condense each day's video? Step 3, be sure that the video and the Pear Deck notes reinforce one another. You just want to make sure that one reinforces the other and that you're not presenting new information in one that you're not presenting in the other. Pear Deck engagement. Using your Google Slides presentation, use the Pear Deck add-on to add interactive questions, just as I've been doing, and response options for students to engage with your presentation. Be sure to turn on student paste in the Pear Deck's menu. Remember, it's down here in the 3 dots. I get the option to turn off student paste because I've already turned it on. So if I needed to turn it on, I would turn it on right here. Now let's consider different viewpoints. You as the student can draw or type your thoughts on distance learning into one head and draw or type points of view from a different person on the other head. What do you think some of your students are thinking about distance learning and e-learning in this kind of a situation? Think about a different student, a very different situation, an internet at home versus an internet not at home, an honor student versus a struggling college prep student. Individualizing your lessons or accounting for all of the students that you have, the better this kind of a presentation with video and interactive slides will go over as far as presenting this new content. We've already shown you how to put the Pear Deck interactive link into Google Classroom. If you have a Google Form quiz or other resource for the lesson, be sure to put that in Google Classroom as well. Screencastify automatically saves it to your Google Drive. Once it's in your Google Drive, you can then add it to your Google Classroom, so everything is in one neat little package in Google Classroom for the entire lesson. 1 assignment per day for 4 days each week. You can schedule assignments if you get things done early. If you want to prep ahead, remember you can put all of this together in a Google Classroom assignment, and in Google Classroom you can, instead of assigning, you can schedule, and then it'll go live on the appropriate day. Now consider students without home internet. Can they access Wi-Fi hotspots at the schools? Can they access the new Wi-Fi buses that are going to be parked around the district? Do they have access to a phone with data where they can actually access this content now? Think through those things and contact home if you don't know. If you see a student who is not turning in work, doing work, letting you know that they're still out there, then call home as you normally would for a student who doesn't do work. Find out what the situation is, and as a district or as a school, we can see what we can do to help facilitate that student getting what they need in order to continue the learning process. Can the student download your lesson and work offline? What does that mean? That means, are you sending home PDF worksheets that they're having to fill out, which need the internet to be completed? Or are you asking them to create things in Google Docs, which they can do offline, and then once they get back to a Wi-Fi hotspot, it automatically syncs to the web and they can turn it into Google Classroom? Think through what you're actually asking them to perform and do. If you send home a link to a video that they have to be online to watch, they may not be able to or know how to download that video from the internet. They can download these videos from Google Classroom with no problem. But if it's on the internet, like a YouTube video or a Discovery Ed video, they may not be able to download it. So just be cognizant of that and know your kids and know who is in your class. On Fridays, you'll use Google Meet to have a live tutorial. You're going to review with students. You're going to check in with students. You're going to see how they're doing. You can even teach new content if there's not a lot of questions. There's no rules as to what your live session needs to be, other than we need you. I'm sure that your students would love to see your face, to have that live interaction with you and perhaps each other in a classroom setting as best as we can make it, and Google Meet is our way of doing that. Teachers, you're going to schedule a time to meet with each class online for student-teacher interaction and academic support. Teachers are going to communicate the class meeting times to the students, which means if you know a student does not have internet at the house, you need to call on the telephone that student, and you can come to the schools and do that if you don't want to use your personal phone, and arrange with that student what time they can meet. If they can't meet during the time that you're going to hold it, figure out some other way to get in touch with that student and offer this situation to as many students as you possibly can. Students can call in with a telephone to a Google Meet. So even if they don't have internet at home, they can still get the information from you to call in the phone number and join the Google Meet via voice only, but at least they get that real-time interaction. Students know they can contact you anytime, not just on Fridays, but that you're going to be live and in person on Fridays. Here is one of the exit ticket type Google slides from Pear. Remember, there are tutorials that accompany this video, so please review through those. If you need additional assistance, please contact your school, your assistant principals, or your principal. There are many people who are ready and willing to help you get up to speed and get the information and skills you need to make this work. Now, once we're done recording, we're going to come up here to our Screencastify extension. We're going to click on it again. And it's going to say that our tab is being recorded. And so what we need to do is stop it. So I'm going to stop it. My picture of me goes away and nothing happens for a second. And then it opens a new tab and it says that your recordings are being saved. And it kind of gives you a progress bar. And this is replaying your video so you can kind of watch it. If you need to trim the beginning of it, you've got the trim button. If you need to trim the end of it, you've got the trim button. And so you can just click in and click in. And now I've trimmed the intro a little bit. I've trimmed the exit a little bit. That's about the extent of the editing you get to do in Screencastify. So I've got my progress bar over here. And once it gets full, I can share to Google Classroom, or I can copy the shareable link. One thing that you're going to need to remember to do is go to More Options and change it from private to unlisted. I'm going to go ahead and share it to Google Classroom as soon as it's done uploading. So once it's done uploading, it completely, the progress bar goes away, and now I can actually click on Share to Classroom. It's going to ask me which class. I'll pick the class, new material, or create an assignment from here. But since I've already created the assignment, I'm going to copy the shareable link. And then I'm going to go back into my class where I've already put my instructions from the beginning, and we put the Pear Deck in here already. I'm going to add another link, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to add the link. Either assign it or schedule it, or we could just save it as a draft if we need to prepare some more materials to go along with it to attach later. So we are going to assign it, and now our classwork is here. So we can sign into the Pear Deck and we can watch our video. Now, one thing I will tell you If I go to the video in my Google Drive right after it uploads, it sometimes won't be there yet. It's still processing. This one processed pretty quickly. It was 16, almost 17 minutes before I edited it down. Not too bad, but just know if there's a heavy demand on Google, then it could take up to a couple of hours. Usually it takes 5 to 15 minutes or so for it to be processed, and then students can access it. If a student needs to, they would open it up like this and then click this download button, and that downloads the video to their device, at which point they could then go home and watch the video from their device without the internet.